dear Shiels, welcome to my kitchen. Kitchen is like an alchemical lab, using different ingredients, herbs, spices. We create food that we feed to ourselves and to our loved ones. And this is really powerful and really important. You know, for people that cook for others, they hold a very, very special role because we are creating inner environment in each individual through the food that we are eating. Today I would like to share with you one of my recipes that came just as I transitioned to using plant-based foods. And it's a dish that myself and my husband actually really loved as children, which is spaghetti bolognese. And as we stopped eating animal foods, we wanted to create something that will remind us of this particular dish, because it was really, like, you know, connected to our time as we were growing up, and something that we really loved. So this was the first recipe that I actually, you know, sat down and thought, how could I recreate something like that? So it's going to be spaghetti bolognese, as I said, and I'll just talk you through the ingredients I'm going to be using. So we have aubergine in here that got a little bit damaged as I was preparing for this video. We have some basil, we have some pecan nuts, you can also use walnuts. We have some wild mushrooms that came from Poland, picked by my parents. We have some onion and garlic. And then here I have marjoram, which is a really amazing herb to use in this particular dish. And also we have some turmeric. I have a little bit of chili paste in here too, for those that like a little bit of spicy. And I'll talk you through other ingredients as I'm cooking. This is a little bit of coconut sugar. Okay, so to start, we're going to chop some aubergine, because I will have to mince it afterwards, just to get that consistency very similar to what you would get from the minced meat. So we get to it. Aubergine is a really amazing vegetable to use in cooking. It's very low in calories, but has a lot of very important nutrients for our health. So we're gonna slice it and cube it. And as I said, aubergine is a really fantastic vegetable to use in cooking. It's high in fiber and a lot of phytochemicals that are really powerful, especially antioxidants. So when it comes to our, you know, cardiovascular health, that is very vulnerable to free radical damage, it's one of the vegetables that it's great to use when you're cooking. The only issue is aubergine comes from the nightshade family. And nightshade family vegetables can cause a little bit of issue for people that have too much heat in their body or suffer from any inflammatory problems. But there's ways that we can actually reduce the heat that these particular vegetables can form, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So we chopped our aubergine, and now I'm going to mince it. So you can use any food processor to do it. I'll be using Vitamix, but any food processor will do. So any blender that you have, you want to roughly, like, you know, mince it. Okay, so I'm going just to get to it now. Okay, so we have our aubergine just minced. So look at the consistency. It's very similar to minced meat. And as it's gonna brown on the pan, it's gonna look really almost exactly the same. So I'm gonna just set it in here and get to chopping some other things, other ingredients. So we need some onion, and you can use normal onion, white onion, or you can use red onion. So red onion has a little bit more antioxidants, and that's why I chose that. So I'm going to chop it. Make sure that you mind your fingers. So we have it sliced, and now we're gonna chop it. It doesn't have to be super fine, it just depends also on what you like when it comes to consistency. Okay, so we have our onion. And I have a lovely purple fingers now. Okay, so I have a garlic in here as well. Actually, I'm gonna move this bowl out of the way because you probably can't really see very well. Here we go. So yeah, so you can mince garlic also. You can chop or mince it. So whatever you prefer. Okay, I'm just gonna chop it a little bit finer. Okay, so we have that done. I put it aside in here. And what we're gonna need next is our nuts. So you can use the pecan nuts or you can use walnuts. So this recipe, it's roughly for 4 people. And I have like 100 grams of nuts in here. Okay, so I'm gonna chop that as well. And then I'm going to add that all into the pan. So let me do that. So the nuts you can just chop really roughly. I sometimes blend it, but I prefer actually to have chunks, bigger chunks, rather than really like, you know, blend it to a powder. Takes a little bit of time. Okay, and again, with nuts you're adding more minerals and trace elements and some good fats. And it's also a great source of protein. So all the different ingredients bring their own magic into the dish. Okay, and we have the pan here heating. I'm gonna just bring the temperature up a little bit. And I'm looking for a spoon. So I'm going to use coconut oil, and the reason why I'm using coconut oil is because it's a very stable fat. It's a saturated fat. Other oils are not really good to use in heat because they change their chemical structure. That's why using, like, you know, coconut oil, if you are living on the plant-based diet, or if you're still consuming some animal products, you could use ghee, which is clarified butter. That also will go very well in here. So these are the best oils to use when you're cooking using higher temperatures. Okay, so we're gonna have our oil heating up in here, and we're gonna add our ingredients into the pan. I'm gonna bring the heat up in here. It's looking really good already. It would be great, guys, if you could smell it. It's amazing. Okay, so what we're going to add in here now is I'm gonna add some spices. So I'm gonna add some marjoram. And again, marjoram is an amazing herb to use in cooking. It has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties, which will balance the heat of the nightshade family vegetables that we're using in this recipe, which is aubergine and tomatoes, which can be problematic for some people. But when you balance things out, you might get away with having it from time to time. So I'm gonna add some marjoram in here, and that's also a fantastic herb for digestion and calming the digestive system, improving the production of digestive juices. Wonderful. I grew up with this herb as a child, and I really love it. Another thing that we're gonna add in here is turmeric. So that's another spice that we're using to reduce the heat of tomatoes and aubergine. And everybody knows how wonderful turmeric is. It has phytochemical called curcumin, and that has a very powerful effect on inflammation in our body, free radical damage. It supports our liver, it supports our cardiovascular system. So I'm giving it a couple of teaspoons, flat teaspoons. I'm gonna mix it in. Smells wonderful. And we're going to add our aubergine, so our minced aubergine, into the mix. Brilliant. And mushrooms. Mushrooms are amazing. I'm just in love with mushrooms. It just brings my childhood memories of going to the forest and picking the mushrooms with my parents. And I still get a package from my mom sent after they pick the mushrooms, my mom and my dad. And I have it, in the dry form that I can rehydrate and use in my cooking. So these are a mixture of porcini mushrooms and some other wild mushrooms from the forest that I don't actually even know the name in English. So I'm gonna add that in. And again, mushrooms are a great addition, especially if you want to get a meaty flavor. And when the health is concerned, they're just fantastic for boosting our immunity, supporting our liver, improving the microbiome of our gut flora. Amazing, really, really amazing. Also, there's a lot of research in the last few years about mushrooms having strong effect when it comes to cancer cells. So they're great in prevention and great in treatment. So we have all those goodies in here. We can stir fry it for a little while, combine it all together, mix all the flavors and all the amazing properties. Okay, and I'll add some basil in here as well. I'm just gonna tear it. The smell is just fabulous. I love basil so much. That's an amazing herb as well. Great digestive, anti-inflammatory. So we have a pan really full of goodness. Okay, what I'm going to do next is to add some salt, and aubergine loves salt. It will cook much nicer as well with the presence of salt. So a dash of salt. Mix it. Amazing. So every ingredient is incredibly powerful. And when they come together, you're creating something really, really special. And also, when you cook, it's very important to be present, to observe everything and, give your energy, because that's the magic ingredient. It's in every individual. When they cook, they add something from themselves. That's why you can use the same recipe if you have a room, filled with different people, and the same dish will taste slightly different because each individual adds a bit of their own magic. Okay, so that looks like it's nicely stir-fried, ready for our tomatoes. There you go. So I have here organic tomatoes passata that I'm going to be using. When I have time and I have my own cherry tomatoes, I would roast them in the oven and blend them and just use my own sauce. But that's what we have here today, and that's what you can use. And I would advise you to use tomatoes from the glass bottle rather than the can. Canning food really, really lowers the vibration of food. So if you have a choice, I would always go with the glass bottle. Okay, so I'm going to add that in. Okay, to the side and mix it. It's starting to look like a spaghetti bolognese. Not spaghetti yet, but a bolognese sauce. And we're gonna heat it through. And it's always good to leave it on the hob for a little while, so all the flavors infuse, and you have a much better consistency. So we let it simmer for a little while. Heat it through, and actually I could have added that in the beginning. It depends, like, you know, if you like a little bit of heat. So we can use in here some chili paste. So you could use fresh chilies also. It doesn't really matter, and you can omit it too. So it depends, you know, where you are at when it comes to spiciness. Grab a spoon in here. Hopefully it will fit in. Yeah. And I'm gonna add a little bit of chili paste in, just for a little bit of a kick. Okay, mix it in, and we are getting there. So as this can still simmer away in here, I'm gonna put some pasta on. So I have here gluten-free pasta, but if you are able to eat gluten, you can have wheat pasta. It doesn't really matter. One thing that I would like to mention here is that what's important is to buy organic. The reason for it is that in the commercial agriculture we use a lot of chemicals, and especially glyphosate. So if you can, I would definitely look at making a choice of purchasing organic. And if you are gluten-free, obviously gluten-free. If you can consume gluten, it's absolutely fine. If your digestive system works well, you have no problem with that. But choose organic over the commercially grown grains. Okay, so pasta ready to be put into the pot. I have the water simmering here in the background with a little bit of salt. So I'm gonna just pop it in. We will be ready to serve very, very soon. Okay, we have pasta in the pot, and the last thing that I'm going to do is to add a little bit of coconut palm sugar. And the reason why I'm doing this is that especially like unprocessed sugar has a cooling quality. So when we're using vegetables that are from the nightshade family and can cause potentially a little bit of inflammation for some people, we can further reduce the heat by adding a little bit of sugar, and also it improves the flavor. And this sugar, we started to get afraid of sugar, and rightly so if we're talking about processed sugar, but small quantities of unprocessed raw cane sugar like jaggery or coconut sugar are really, really powerful tonics for our blood, and can support our digestive system and can reduce the heat also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop just a tiny little bit into the pan in here for that very reason. And I'm gonna mix it in. We're getting there, and I'm getting hungrier. Okay, lovely. A little bit of black pepper, just freshly ground in here. I'm gonna add that in. Okay, guys, we're getting very close to finishing. I'm gonna just taste it and see if it needs anything. It's very important to always taste it, so you know what you're serving to others. Awesome. Really delicious. So that's it. The pasta is getting closer. Brilliant. Okay, we have pasta ready, guys. It's beautiful. I'm going to okay. A little small mini portion. And we can add the sauce. There we go. Amazing. And we're gonna top it with a beautiful, actually homegrown in here, basil. Right on top. And here we go. Looks absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to taste it. So I'm getting really, really hungry now. So nice and hot. Bon appetit. Amazing. Really, really delicious. So here we go. This is plant-based spaghetti bolognese. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and it will become one of your favorites too. I'm really, really connected to this because of childhood memories, and I'm so actually happy that, you know, that's one of the things that also joins me and my husband together in something that we both love so much, and we can still enjoy it in a different form than we remember, but still evokes these childhood memories that are so dear to us both. As you've seen, with any recipes, we can alter things and we can make them suitable for anybody that still wants to enjoy things that might be problematic for them. But when we add a little bit of magic into our cooking by using specific spices that can counteract certain properties and enhance the other, we can all still enjoy things that we thought that we might not ever enjoy again. And so I hope this invites you into trying different things and becoming more aware of what's happening in the kitchen and how you can actually create meals that nourish, nurture, and also include many, many things that sometimes you think you might not be able to eat ever again. So thank you very much for tuning in, for watching this video, and I will be happy to share with you more in the future. Lots of love to you all. Take care. Bye.
Hey, I'm a nice.
So sometimes it just works out.
Awesome. So whenever you're not you're happy, but whenever you're ready.
So here we go. This is plant-based spaghetti bolognese. I hope you enjoyed this recipe and it will become one of your favorites too.